What is going on, you guys? Today I have another quick episode for you. So we're going to be reviewing alpha male strategies. That's the YouTuber here, and then the title here is Waiting for Choosing Signals Will Cost You Women. Let's get into it.
What's up, fellas? So we back with the greatest hits for AMS with his new camera. So today we're here to talk about the pros and cons to cold approaching. All right, this also can be taken as the pros and cons to choosing signals. Okay, so obviously the pros to cold approaching are going to be the cons to waiting for choosing signals, and the cons for cold approaching is also going to be the pros for waiting for choosing signals. All right, so that's the thing with that. I'll probably put on there pros and cons to choosing signals, because choosing signals is the hot little phrase now. Cold approach is kind of like 1980, so I might just use pros and cons to choosing signals. All right. But anyway, all right, so the first one, guys, well, let's just do, I wrote it down as pros and cons to cold approach. So we're just gonna do it like that, all right? So the first pro to cold approaching is you'll pull more women, guys. You're gonna sleep with more women. Ain't no way about it. If you approach more women, the numbers just say that. Now, I can just take my own life experience, right? I can just take my own life experience from choosing.
And by the way, it's not just about that, right? I know there's different guys with different goals watching this, right? But, you know, sure, he's right. Like, you might end up hooking up with more women, or you might just have better, like, maybe more women friends. You might have more women that you're actually dating, like you know, actually seeing out on a consistent basis, like potential relationship material, right? You're gonna have more opportunities overall, right? So it's almost like, let's just say you took it from the angle of not hooking up or casual short-term stuff, right? You'll have a bigger candidate pool of basically women that you're interviewing for best fit for you long term, right? Like girlfriend material, wife, mother material, whatever. You know, you don't have to throw marriage into it, but I think you see what I'm saying, right? Like, you have a bigger pool to choose from because you're actually creating more opportunities for yourself.
Signals and cold approach, and I can tell you right now that when I cold approach back in the day, I slept with way more women than I do now. But here's the thing, and this is what I've been trying to tell you guys for the longest. I had nothing. Do y'all guys understand? It's the mindset. I want y'all guys to grasp that. It's the mindset. When I started waiting for choosing signals, my life improved. When I slept with more women, it didn't. And I'm not even talking about the time to sleep with women. It's the mindset. So right now, I'm more in a success, happiness stage. What I've learned, guys, and this is what I've been trying to tell you guys for the fucking longest, choosing signals is not about attracting women. I don't know how many times I have to say it. When I die, I hope they put the shit on my fucking grave. I'm gonna start wearing a goddamn t-shirt that say choosing signals is not the best way to attract the most women. Because I already know some jackass is finna come in the goddamn comments and tell me, oh, I just go for what I want. Choosing signals is playing around. Motherfucker, you son of a bitch. I goddamn, if I see one of you motherfuckers in this goddamn comments talking about some, I just go for what I want, all that other bullshit, when I sit up and I specifically have been saying this shit for almost 3 days, I don't know if I have to strangle somebody on this fucking camera to get my point across about choosing signals. Choosing signals is not about attracting the most women. If you thought that, you are a jackass. Okay, point blank, period. Choosing signals is a state of mind. I am not anti-cold approach. I just wanted to be in the natural course of things, okay? If you're a guy and you're out living your social life of abundance, okay, and you see a baddie or a diamond, whatever you call it these days, all right, a stallion or whatever you call them these days, and you just say, hey man, you know, you just out with your friend, y'all having some wine, drinking and stuff like that, and then you see her and you like, you want to go over and cold approach without her sending you know, choosing signals, fine. I won't lose any sleep over it. What I'm just against is the mindset of you leaving the house with your friend with the mindset that we finna try to get numbers. I don't like that mindset. It is a thirsty loser's mentality. Live your life.
Boom. Yeah. Okay. I love that. Right. So, and this is where guys get it wrong all the time too. Like, they think, oh, like I'm in a scarcity mindset. I'm, you know, thirsty, right? By cold approaching. It's not that specifically. It's what he just said, right? Which is, if you go out of the house, like I'm gonna go get some numbers, right? Or like you're like consistently like where are the girls at? Like you're in the club. That's the reason you go there. The reason you go out, like you're consistently like you're taking it like pickup artist style, right? Like spending 2 hours in a mall just to approach girls. That is not the point. What he's saying, I love what he's saying, right? Because there's nothing wrong. Here's what guys get wrong, because they cope. They throw up a big defensive or coping mechanism about cold approach, because they're like, oh, like you know, it's gonna. Basically, they're afraid of rejection, right? That's the big thing about it, right? They're afraid of rejection and they're scared. That's the craziest part. Is a man is scared to approach a woman. She also poops like you. She's shorter than you, right? Like, she has more reason to be afraid of you than you of her, right? So well, I like what he's saying, because if you're going out and actually living your life, right, hanging out with your friends, working on your purpose, et cetera, right, like you're doing your thing, you're not really thinking about approaching, and you're able to utilize that. So like if you happen to be doing your thing and you notice a cute girl, you have the confidence to go create an opportunity without, being like, oh, she hasn't given me a choosing signal yet. Oh, you see what I'm saying? Like, because I can't stand when guys are just like, oh, like I need a choosing signal, or like I won't do it. Right? It's like that's a weak way of doing it too, right? Because again, right, like, what if you just had the confidence to go up and do it because you're going about your day, you weren't even thinking about women, but then you see a cute girl and you're like, let's see what happens here, right? Like, you can create an opportunity for yourself rather than convincing yourself out of it. Like, oh, she's got her ear pods in. Oh, she probably has a boyfriend, even though I don't know, and she hasn't told me that. Oh, she's probably busy, right? Like, you come up with all these reasons not to do it, and of course that shows that it's a fear thing, right? It's like, oh, like I'm afraid to approach a girl, right?
If you meet women along the way, choosing signals or not, choosing signals is the mindset. Hey man, I'm going to shoot ball. Boom, boom, boom. Hey man, just so happened a badass chick out here walking her dog in the park, and you go over and approach her. What I don't like is when you leave the house, go to the mall, thinking how many numbers you can get. You wanna know what me and my friend used to do back in the day? This before cell phones and all that shit. Y'all wanna know what we did? We went to the mall with a pen and a piece of paper in our pocket. No fucking lie. Pen in our pocket and a piece of paper to write down numbers. Do that sound like somebody who authentically met women naturally? Me looking back on it now, I gotta be thinking to myself, what the hell was them women thinking? You got a pen and a piece of paper in your fucking pocket? I know you out here goddamn chasing ass. I ain't think about it at the time, but I'm thinking about it now. And y'all wanna know why we did that? Because you would lose a lot of girls. So you would meet girls at the mall, right? And then they didn't have no paper, they didn't have no pen, you ain't got down. And then you're like, hey, let's come over here. They're like, oh, I'm in a hurry, this, that, and that. So we got smart. We start coming to the mall with a pen and paper in our fucking pocket to make sure, bitch, we ain't gotta go look for nothing. I'm good. We good now. I got a pen and paper right here. All right, that mindset, guys. And the reason I don't like that mindset is because when you're in that female validation mind, where you constantly need female validation, you constantly need to date women, you'll always be unhappy. You know what we used to do? This is what we do. Go to the mall, get a whole bunch of numbers, get 15 numbers, come home, 12 of them wouldn't even answer the phone. Or I would say maybe 10 of them wouldn't even answer the phone. 3 of them would say, I'm gonna call you back. And then 2 of them would probably be on about something, one will flake, and maybe out of that 15, you might get one out on a date. Do that sound like a recipe for happiness? That sounds like a recipe for frustration. That's what it sounds for. You gotta get 15 numbers to get one on a date. That is a recipe for frustration. I promise you that. You will forever be frustrated with that mindset. I promise you. The best mindset is, when you think of choosing signals in the mindset of living a social life of abundance, meeting women along the way. And if you just so happen to see a woman that you find attractive and she's not paying you no attention, or she don't see you, and you're like, hey, I'll never see this woman again, I want to approach, go up in the fucking approach. AMS is not going to appear from behind the building and kick you in your ass because you cold approach. I just don't like the mindset of leaving the house to cold approach. I hope I fucking cleared that up. I know some jackass is going to come in the comments, hey, I don't know what I want, all that other bullshit, man, I just swear. All right, next. You'll get more confident. You'll get better at your approaches. So what is up?
By the way, just one little side note. Now, I'm not sure exactly what happened when he was doing this, like in his younger days, like he was going out with the pen and the paper. But one thing a lot of guys do wrong in their approaches is they go through a bit of conversation and then they ask for the number without giving her a reason, right? So what you want to do is flip it, right? Because basically guys run away with a number like a consolation prize, like, oh, the interaction went well. I got her number. It's in the bag, right? And then they don't get a text back. Sometimes they do, right? But what'll increase your success rate is basically if you give her a reason after having a bit of banter, a bit of conversation with her first, right? Like, oh, you seem like a cool girl. I actually got to run and meet my friends. We should grab a coffee sometime. She says yes. Well, you could say, we should grab a coffee sometime. What's your number? And then she still has the opportunity to say no, right? And you've basically assumed attraction at that point. So she can say no, or she can say, yeah, sure. And then, give you the number, right? So you're not asking for the number, and she can still say no. And you gave her a reason, like, oh, let's grab a drink sometime. Like, you seem like a cool girl. Easy, right? You don't just ask for the number and not give her a reason, because then she's like, and then she decides not to text you later because you weren't more forward about it.
You'll just get more comfortable. That's a better word, comfortable with your approach. So what ends up happening, I'm talking right now to the pros of cold approaching, right? What end up happening is, approaching a woman who's not sending you no signs of flirting with you, no signs of choosing signals or nothing like that, what you'll notice is, this is what we call breaking the ice. So you don't gotta break the ice with a woman who's sending you choosing signals. She broke the ice when she smiled at your ass and been staring at you for fucking 20 seconds. She broke the ice. When you going up to a woman who ain't gave you no indicators or interest or nothing, and you just going up to her, what ends up happening is it's like this stare down, like it's this initial shock. Sometimes, especially if the woman don't see you coming, like say you approach her from the back, you'll notice it. Sometimes you'll start a little bit, ooh, and then it's like, what'll end up happening is you'll get more comfortable with that. That becomes smoother. All right, you'll learn how to integrate. And so, basically, what I learned from when I used to cold approach women like this, I learned to engage in the situation. That's how I got good at when I was cold approaching. So I see a woman, say she's shopping or something like that, and she got some bags. I might ask her something like, hey, did you get me something? You know, something like that. If I see a girl at the gym or something like that, I might say, you training for the Olympics? Just something to kind of break the ice. All right. Now, I still stand by what I say.
By the way, both of those are good because they're like, they inject a little bit of comedy in the situation, right? Like you see her in the gym. Oh, you're trying out for the Olympics, right? Or or like shopping, right? Like, oh, did you get me something? What'd you get me? Right? It's like kind of funny and it'll catch her off guard. Easy way to break the ice. So she'll know like, oh, like this guy's kind of funny. Like, let's see what happens here.
For you guys that might not be creative like that, to just go up and introduce yourself. I'm creative like that. I got that creative mind that I could see something like, y'all guys got to understand that half the shit I talk in these videos, other than taking my notes, I don't think of it. I think of it on the fly because I'm creative like that. It's not like I sit around and note everything I'm going to say in a video because I fucking don't. I write my notes down on what I want to cover, and everything I'm going to say in between those talking points, I just create on the fly. You see, most of you guys might not have that kind of creativity. And so in that situation, if you don't have that creativity, do not do corny lines, okay? Do not do corny lines. It makes you seem lame, okay, and staged. Okay, what you want to do is just introduce.
No, I love that. Well, I mean, and what he's saying is really important. Like, you don't do the cheesy pickup line, right? Don't rehearse this stuff. Do what he said, right? Like, something funny that's natural. Like, you're basically using like a situational opener, right? Like, oh, like even like a coffee shop could be more genuine and less funny, right? Like you're both looking at the menu, and you could say like, what's good on the menu here? Like, have you been here before? You're in. Right, because she'll tell you, she might give you a recommendation, or you'll find out that she's also never been, and you could probably just like make a joke like, oh, like, I bet you're like a pumpkin spice girl, aren't you? Right, like a playful assumption. You see what I'm saying? Like, or even just being honest with it, like walking up. I'm not the biggest fan of saying like, hey, I noticed you, like, I thought you were cute, but that sometimes works if you're just passing by, right? Like you could be like, hey, I know this is a little bit random. I was just walking by and noticed you were cute, so I wanted to come up and get to know you, or you know, meet you really briefly. I do have to run in a second, but I just wanted to come up and say hi. My name's Cole, right? Or, you know, whatever, right? Or like, hi, like, what's your name? And then you could see if she asks your name back, right? And then you'll see that there's a bit of interest there. You can make it a really quick interaction, boom, right? So again, like, I like what he's saying because you don't want to be like not genuine or like using like these canned lines.
And let her introduce herself, and usually the conversation might go somewhere else depending on what she say. She might ask you something, okay? But the bottom line is, do not start doing corny pickup lines.
And by the way, you could actually replace cute, right? Like, hey, I was just passing by and noticed you, and you seemed interesting, so I wanted to come up and meet you really briefly. I do have to run in a second, but I wanted to meet you for a second. What's your name? Right? And then she'll subconsciously kind of know like why you're doing it, but that's a way of getting around that without giving like the, yeah, oh, you're cute, you're attractive compliment right away, right? Because they kind of know why you're going up.
And stuff like that. But the main thing from that is I want you guys to know you'll just get more comfortable with cold approaching. As with anything, this is a skill. If you're going to do cold approaching, it's a skill. Repetition helps improve that skill. Even me dealing with this camera, y'all ought to see me fooling around with this camera when I first got it. And now when I just set it up to do this video, I'm like, this is what was had me, you know, frustrated and trying to figure out. I'm like, it's now because I done played with it a couple times. It ain't no issue for me to set up. But y'all guys ought to see me when I took it out the box. How it's like, you know, Chinese algebra or something. Just repetition. And I'm quite sure a month from now I'll even be way better than I am now. A year from now I'll be even way better than that. So that's just the way it go, guys. You'll just get better at breaking that ice. All right. If you already have thick skin, if you already have confidence, you'll develop thick skin. In other words, and I want to say this, if you already have confidence now, if you don't have confidence, the rejections are going to kill your insecurities. It's going to bring it out more if you don't have confidence. If you ain't got over those insecurities, it's going to kill it. But if you're somebody who already have confidence, and what is confidence to me? Basically to me, confidence to me is somebody who accepts their insecurities, somebody who accepts their flaws. That's basically what confidence is. I just sat down and I was just thinking the other day and I was like, you know what confidence is? And you know why some fat guys are confident and some fat guys are not, and why some short guys are confident. Basically, some people have just accepted their flaws, and some people just ain't. That's it. Some people just have. I wish I had hair. If I had hair right now, I probably have dreadlocks. Who knows? I get if I had the ability to grow my hair, I wouldn't be bald. Let's just put it like that. Now it's out of my hands at this point. It's in God's hand, and He said I ain't giving you none. All right, if it was in my hand and I could grow hair, I probably have dreads. Who don't know? Goddamn, I might have some goddamn braids on this goddamn motherfucker. The last man with braids on earth, goddamn it. If I had it, so that's the issue with that. But if you don't haven't accept your flaws, this is gonna kill it even more. But if you have confidence, what it'll do is it'll thicken your skin for rejection. It'll just bounce off of you. You know why that is? Because men who accept their flaws and their insecurities, when they get rejected, they just accept it as preference and timing. So like if I go up and approach a woman, since I accept my flaws and insecurities, if a woman reject me, I accept it as in, hey, I'm not her preference, or right now is not the right time. And what I mean by timing, guys, is that means that if I was to come and talk to that same woman a week later, I probably could have got a number. Sometimes timing is just off. And let me tell y'all guys, I'm just prove something to y'all guys about timing. In New York, I haven't had this issue in Atlanta, but in New York, you encounter a lot of homeless people. Sometimes I might get $5 or $10. The next day a bum come to me, I'm like, man, get out my face. Now, why would I give this guy $10 and tell this guy, man, or basically ignore him? I ain't gonna tell nobody to get out my face, but I'll probably ignore him, right? Keep on walking like, get, you think, I don't say it to him, but I'm thinking in my head, man, get a job, right? Why would I give one money, but I don't know them? Why would I treat one better than the other? He's not no family member of mine. Why would I treat one like that, but I give him some timing? This day here, I was just in a better mood than I was when you met me. If you was to switch the positions, and I would have met him this day and met you that day, he would have got the same treatment this one got. Because it's not one better than the other. Timing. What kind of mood I am in. As crazy as it sounds. You can't get, in New York, there's a lot of homeless people, so you ain't gonna give every homeless person you see that's begging on the street some money. You'll be broke. All right, they everywhere. Every corner is, they every goddamn well. Every time you turn around, you can't give everybody no money. So why you give this one some timing? Just how I'm feeling that day. Got my dick sucked last night. Hey, can you spare some change? Yeah, man, here you go. Girl flaked on me last night. Hey, bro, can you spare? Man, went to the gym. I was trying to go for a PR. I missed that last rep. Man, leave me alone. Leave me alone. On that ball. Leave me alone. Went to the club last night. Got 2 baddest phone numbers. Next morning, going to the gym. Hey, man, can you spare some change? Sure, fella. Here you go. All in timing. That's the same way it works with women. Just timing. Maybe her period came on. Maybe her mama won't babysit her child for the weekend and she wanted to go to Miami. Who the fuck knows? Maybe she just got turned down from that job. Maybe her boss just got on her ass that day. Get on her goddamn nerves. Who knows? Timing, guys. All timing. Timing is key in life and preference. The next thing, your approach game will improve with women who have mediocre interests. All right, so in my opinion, there's nothing you can do with a woman who has low interest, right? She don't find you attractive. But the women who sitting on that fence, those see you as a 5 or 6, when you talk to them, they're the type, and for y'all guys wondering who those are, these will be the ones, they'll be talking to you. Like, let's just take the instance, you meet her at the mall, right? What you will notice is you'll be talking to her, and she really won't stop, but she's talking, and you following behind her like a little stray puppy, right? But she's talking, but she ain't stopped and gave you her undivided attention. Those are those mediocre interest girls. And what end up happening is your game and your smoothness are improved to get her number. Okay, it's easy. If you go up and approach a girl and she's smiling, hey, how you doing? That's easy. Everybody get those, right? But I'm talking about those ones where you talking and she's not ignoring you, but she ain't stopped and like gave you her full undivided attention, right? She's kind of like, whatever, right? These are the women that you say, give me your number, and they regularly just pushing their buggy, and they tell you their number, but they ain't stopped and gave you eye contact one fucking time. You'll learn how to bring them on home. You'll know how to, your game will be on point to get those. And basically what's happening is, they low interest indicators don't deter you none, as it might have before. You done built up that confidence where you think that, you know what, I can get her too. So your confidence comes through and you don't start buckling because she's not showing you high interest, which is hard to do. When a woman kind of like ignoring you, like showing low interest and stuff like that, it can kind of like fuck with your psyche a little bit. And you be like, but if you cold approach enough, that shit kind of just bounce off you and your game improves and you know how to bring it on home.
Yeah, it's exposure therapy, right? Like you get used to rejections, and that works for jobs, that works for dating, right? Like, so like the more you do it, the more like it's just gonna like it'll be like water running off your back, like no big deal. Like there's plenty of women in the world, so it's not really a big deal that this one wasn't interested, right? So that's what he's talking about.
All right, guys, that's sort of like the same thing goes on with the developing the thick skin. Then the last one on the pro, guys, is you'll pull women who suck at sending choosing signals. So what you have is, guys, you have some women who either suck or just don't send choosing signals, or whatever the case, all right? And so let's just stick with suck, right? Some women, they just suck at the stuff, right? And for y'all guys wondering who these girls is, these are the girls that when you wonder, was that a choosing signal? That's what I'm talking about. the women who good at sending choosing signals, there's no doubt. They know what to do. They know how to make eye contact and smile and probably play around with their hair some. And you have these other dumb bitches, they sit there and they sit there all nervous and stuff, and you like, is she choosing? So what end up happening is guys who cold approach, you leave men on the table. Guys who don't want cold approach, period. Which I don't advocate, by the way. I really don't advocate. I just don't want you leaving the house with the mindset of, I'm finna talk to everything moving. All right, I'm not against cold approach. I cold approach, right? Every woman I talk to don't be sitting there licking her lips out at me like she want me. No, that's stupid, right? But I just don't leave the house with the mindset of cold approaching. I know some of the stuff I say is really deep thinking and it just flies over y'all head sometimes. It's just the mindset. That's what I don't like. It's a hungry, thirsty mindset. But getting back to the point, you'll get those women. Some guys, if they don't get choosing signals, period. All right, even before I said it. Even before I said it, guys, some guys, if they didn't think a woman want them, they wouldn't approach. All right, and so you leaving a lot of booty on the table. That's all I'm gonna say on that. Oh man, woo! How much film I got left on this? Because I'm getting into the cons now, and the cons are heavy. All right, so number one con, you give women the power from the get-go. This is the issue with cold approaching. You give women the power from the get-go. You already starting out from the pursuing. So expect from the get-go her to play hard to get. All right, and this could be because she has low interest, because you cold approach. Let's okay. If I'm in a club and a woman is close by me and she's not sending choosing signal, not right by me, because that's a choosing signal. Let's just say she's like 3 people over, right? And she's right by me and she ain't choosing me. That's probably a no signs that she want me or anything like that. That could be low interest, right? So when you meet that type of woman like that, what you gonna start? You probably gonna end up doing all the pursuing because she has all the power. That is big right there. Y'all guys gotta understand. As a high value man, that can be hard to deal with sometimes. And when I say that, guys, what I mean is these will be the women who won't initiate contact with you at all until they start building some type of attachment. All right? And that's an issue for a high value man to then took a woman out on 3 days, 2 days, 3 days, and she still hasn't initiated. That's an ego thing. Okay? And it's kind of hard to get over if you're a high value man. If you're a man who just got nothing going on for himself, that don't bother you. Like, yeah, I can pursue all day. But for a man that has his shit together, that can be a bitter pill to swallow. To like, goddamn, I gotta do every goddamn thing. All right? So that's one issue, con, to cold approaching, is that you're giving women the power to play hard to get from the get-go. Do y'all guys understand that? That's a hard.
I think one thing worth mentioning there, though, is like if you cold approach and she ends up being really attracted to you, or like ends up having like high interest in you, that might flip too, right? Like maybe all you needed to do was the cold approach, and then now she'll be like, she'll start pursuing you a bit more, right? Like so it might not be like this like situation where he's talking about where it's like, oh, like she's not texting me, like I always had to text her, blah blah blah. Like it might not turn into something like that, because even like a different example of that would be like, let's say you cold approached in the bar or the club or something, right? Well, in that circumstance, it's up to you, right? But you could actually create a little bit of competition anxiety by basically going around, right? Like you're meeting other guys in the venue, you're meeting other women in the venue, right? So like you introduced yourself to her, you spoke a little bit, and then you just go around like, hey, like it was great talking to you guys, like I'll see you around, right? So you can like revisit the group, right, or revisit her, but it's not necessarily like, oh my god, like I've latched onto this person, I need to stay here the whole night kind of thing, right? So and that would actually be a good way of kind of like seeing her interest there, like basically after you've done the intro and talked to her a little bit, leaving and seeing if maybe even she comes to you after a little bit, right? Because you're kind of giving her your own choosing signal at that point, really.
Things to overcome right there, if you're a high value man. Next, other women can say he tried to talk to me. I've had this about 3 or 4 times in my life, guys, when I used to cold approach with girls I dated back in the day. I'll take y'all to the girl I dated at the gym, right? Her friend told her, oh, he tried to talk to me. That's an issue when you cold approach a lot. When women go run that background check on you.
And by the way, that's a tricky one. That's like a nuanced one, because there is an art to doing it in the gym. A lot of people recommend not doing it at all. I don't think it's a place to do it for beginners, really, right? I think like cold approaching is better, like just going about your day and you're walking around the sidewalk somewhere, like a downtown or something where you probably won't see that girl again, so like it's like, okay, like let me, like she's cute, I wasn't really thinking about approaching, but she's cute, let me make it happen, right? See what happens. Now with the gym or work, like I hear so many guys say that they do that like consistently, and I'm like, basically you're taking the crap where you eat, right? Like if you don't have thick skin, you might you might find it really awkward. I find awkwardness funny, but you might find it really awkward and find yourself like always going to the gym, seeing her every day after you got the rejection, or other girls start to figure out that you've been cold approaching in the gym, like more than one girl, right? So like it's sort of like a delicate game to play. So I wouldn't really recommend doing that. It can work occasionally depending on the situation, but there's definitely an art to it, and especially work. Like if you care about your job at all, if you like want to keep that income, or you care about like the type of work that you're doing, that company, whatever, right? Like I really wouldn't recommend that. It's I feel like it's a rare case where that one actually works out. So just keep that in mind.
All right, and y'all guys got to understand why women run these background checks. The number one reason a woman run a background check is to make sure you ain't fooled with none of her friends or family members. If you fuck them, I don't want to fuck them. So women say, hey, you know him? And so something like that, guys, can kill attraction from the get-go. If a woman found out you done got rejected by one or two of her friends, if y'all guys wonder how I came through that, the girls ran the background check after they liked me a little bit. After a couple of weeks, they asked their friends about me. The girl asked the girl in the gym about me. Good thing she didn't ask her right away. Because had she asked that girl, hey, you know him? What you know about him? Oh, girl, he tried to talk to me. Because see, I was a holler monster. So she probably asked 3 more of her friends, but he tried to talk to me too. And it makes you look so low value. Had another girl back in Alabama. She'd asked another girl, and the girl told him, oh, you tried to talk. Your friend said you tried to talk to her at the gas station. And I knew exactly what she was talking about because I remember that girl was fine. I remember. So as soon as she said, I knew what she was talking about. And it just makes you look so bad. It makes you. One girl, I actually had tried to talk to her sister like 4 or 5 years prior to that, her half sister, 4 or 5 years prior to that. And for whatever reason, to this day, I don't know why her sister didn't even tell her that I was trying to talk to her. She's like, he cool, but she never told her that I was trying to get. Now that never happened, but I was definitely trying to fuck, right? I didn't get the chance. But matter of fact, I never saw her after one time. And for whatever reason, she never told her sister that, yeah, me and him hung out one time, right? We hung out one time. Actually, I came over her house. I came over her house one time, and I never saw her again. And so that could have, and that girl was the finest girl I've ever dated in my life, at least in the top 3. And that could have ruined it from the get-go. But for whatever reason, to this day, I don't know why she know. I have no, maybe she forgot I was one guy that was trying to talk to her. I have no idea. Both of them was fine. I have no idea. But when she told me, she said, you know, my sister, her sister was a popular, fine girl back home, right? Fine girl back home, one of them girls that everybody know, right? And I tried to talk to her, and I'm thinking that her sister might talk to so many dudes that she probably didn't even remember how she met me, but she just knew me. And she told her sister I was cool. But something like that, when you try to talk to so many women, and when these girls go run these background checks on you, and you try to talk to my sister, you try to talk to my cousin. So I'm just putting that out there, guys, that when these girls run these background checks on you, and you done been rejected by her friends or something, it could kill the attraction with her. All right, women fickle like that.
Yeah, well, and that's important to note, right? Because that goes back to what he was saying, like not being like a holler monster, right? Like not basically going out of the house and being like all I'm doing is approaching girls all day. Like you got the pen and the paper, or you're like that's the only thing you have on your mind, sort of being like thirsty, right? You want to approach it from a standpoint of you're just going about your life, right? And occasionally, right, you're confident enough that you don't talk yourself out. You're not scared of rejection. You don't talk yourself out of approaching your girl because you're afraid of it, right? You can be like, here's an opportunity. Let me see what happens, right? Because if you're, that's one of like in the gym, like that's a really tough example, right? Because like people will talk, people might know each other, right? So especially if it's like a small town maybe, and that's why I would recommend you probably move out of a small town. It's getting to the point where like, everybody doesn't know each other. So like if you're shotgun approaching like that, like it doesn't sort of come back to bite you.
All right. The next thing is you don't make impactful approaches. So what ends up happening, guys, when you...
I don't really recommend shotgun approaching like that though. Anyways, like I would just recommend like you knowing what you actually like. So like when one actually catches your eye, like, oh, like she seems interesting. Like, let's go. You don't have to approach all the time, but when you are interested, being able to make it happen, right?
Have the mindset of cold approach. Remember, if you're just a casual cold approacher, which means that you outliving your social life of abundance, you really wait for choosing signals. But every now and then, if you just see something that blows your mind, you want a cold approach, fine.
Like
I'm talking about the guys who, I'm gonna talk to 10, 20 women every goddamn day. All right. What ends up happening is you don't make impactful approaches. You take quantity over quality. All right. You want quality approaches. 2 quality approaches is better than, you know what, even in that aspect, I'm probably wrong. Even if you make 2 quality approaches, the guy who makes 20 quantity approaches is probably still gonna bang more chicks than you, to be quite honest with you. But y'all guys gotta understand, well, look at his life and look at your life. I guarantee you'll be more happier. When you live in a social life of abundance, I guarantee you, I'm more happy now working on my purpose all day and living a social life of abundance than when I was just chasing ass at the mall all day, every day, at the clubs at night. I am much more at peace of mind now, much more. I'm just gonna put that out there. So in that aspect, quantity probably still would be quality approaches, right? If you were gonna be in that mindset, I guarantee you're gonna be in a bottle of frustration. I'm telling you, I used to be. When I was banging a whole bunch of women a year, doing all those cold approach and stuff, it's never enough. You can sleep with 100 women a year. If you're in that mindset, that hunger state still ain't enough. You're gonna get way more happiness from living a social life of abundance and being on your purpose. I'll tell that to anybody. But the main thing I said, you don't make quality approaches. You kind of just pass a girl and pass and like, hey, what's up? You don't really make grown man approaches. You make these kind of like flimsy approaches because you just do quantity. You don't do quality approaches. All right.
I think something else worth mentioning about that is like you can get into that with other areas of your life too, right? Like you can be way too focused on work and neglect the other areas of your life, right? Or way too focused on the gym and then your work is suffering, like you're not making enough money or whatever, right? So like I like what he's saying there because you want to strike a bit of a balance with everything to be happier. So that means like, actually including dating, being confident enough to approach a girl if you see one that's interesting to you, right? So like having more of like a balance with everything rather than like, because that's basically what he's saying about like the way too much cold approaching guys, right? Is like, you don't want to be like the thirsty, like your mind is just like consumed by just that. Just like you don't want your mind to just be consumed by like women in general, or just be consumed by work, your purpose, or just be consumed by the gym, right? Like you want to strike a more healthy balance where you can level everything up.
And the next one would be, if you don't have confidence, and I was talking about this previous, if you don't have confidence, cold approaching will kill any of the little confidence that you have left. It would just, when I see guys that hit me up and they have no confidence in themselves at all, I know what's going to happen. They already had insecurities. They hadn't figured out how to get over those insecurities, and they went up in the cold approach a couple of women, and it just broke it all the way down. They need to conquer those insecurities first. Do not think that you're going to go out randomly approach women and that's going to build your confidence. It's not. It's going to kill it even more. A lot of guys think that if I just go out and do more cold approaching, that's going to improve my confidence. No. Doing the self-improvement and living a social life of abundance will improve your confidence. Next.
And that one's important because of what we just talked about, right? Like not getting so wrapped up in the self-improvement thing that like, because self-improvement includes socializing and dating as well. And a lot of guys seem to forget that and they fall into like the monk mode, focus on yourself king thing. And like they isolate themselves. Like maybe they're just hanging out with guys, or maybe they're not hanging out with anybody because they're locking in bro for 6 months. And it's like, that's cool. Like, that's commendable, but also it's causing this rift. Like you're not doing so well with women. And that's why, right? It's like, because you want to build confidence with everything. So I like what he's saying there because you don't want to necessarily neglect that.
Playing the numbers game is time consuming.
So like, getting your body right and getting your finances sorted, having a good social life in general, like basically having, baking the cake of your life already, right? So like things are good, you're enjoying yourself, so you can add on the dating stuff easily, right? So it's not like, it's not like this big point of pressure for you.
Like I say, if you're going to be the casual cold approacher that's living a social life of abundance, you 99.9% of the time, you really wait on choosing signals. But hey, if you see a hot chick, that's fine. But if you're somebody who just going to play the numbers game, it's time consuming. I can almost guarantee you won't be successful in life. And I can almost guarantee you won't be happy in life going that route. It is time consuming as hell. When I look back at my ass chasing days, I say, it's no wonder you ain't have shit. Chasing success, guys, a man on his purpose is time consuming. It is time consuming as hell. But being a loser and chasing ass is also very time consuming and will get you no fucking well. Next, you'll spend a lot of time dating and pursuing women that you really ain't got a chance with. So back in my cold approaching days, one thing that I see was very prevalent was that I would spend my time talking and going out and hanging out with women who I probably really didn't have a good chance to hang out with anyway. So you're going to spend a lot of fucking money because you're dealing with women who have lukewarm interest. And if you're dealing with women who see you as a 5 and a 6, which ain't nothing wrong with that if you don't have no other better options, but one thing you'll notice is that your success rate with them is going to be very low. If you're dealing with women who dealing with choosing signals, you're like, damn, I sleep with a lot of them. My success rate with women with choosing signals is 70%. You start dealing with these women who view you as a 5 and a 6, these low interest and stuff like that, your man, they're going to drop down to like 5 or 10%. You're going to see that you're going to be spending a lot of time with women who you ain't nothing but a time filler for. That's it. So you dealing with women with cold approach? Yeah, can you meet one that had interest, but she sucked at sending choosing signals, or maybe she didn't see you, and you get lucky every now and then? Yes. But are you going to get numbers from women who they just giving out their number just to do something because they just like to see their phone ring and all this other crap? So that's the issue with that, guys. You're going to spend your time hanging out with women who got lukewarm interest, pursuing women who got lukewarm interest, when you've been better off on your purpose or pursuing women who got genuine interest.
Oh, yeah. Well, he said it there at the end, right? It's like, having the ones with genuine interest. So let's say you did a cold approach. That's why I was saying that earlier, right? It's like you don't want to get to the point where you're like, chasing, or you feel like you're trying to convince somebody, like sell someone on like wanting to like you or liking you more, right? So like once you've kind of thrown the bait out there, like let's say you did cold approach, and then you've engaged with her a little bit, maybe even went out on a date, right? At that point, I would say not trying to sell yourself too much, right? Like not chasing too much, because you want her to have high genuine interest in you, because at that point you know who's really the good fit for you there. So at that point you can wait for that next sign potentially, right? Or like just pepper in, like like don't chase her, don't text her too much, right? But like show that you want to go out on the second date, or if you haven't gone out on a date yet, show that you want to go out on a date. And if she's interested, boom. If she's not, don't worry about trying it again. Like let her try to reschedule, and if she doesn't, don't worry about it, right? So that's how you actually filter them out at that point for high interest or high traction.
Next, you run the risk of getting an embarrassing rejection. If you cold approach enough women, you're gonna get one that is gonna be embarrassing. Now, the thing with this is, what I've learned about the rejection part is, you can avoid that altogether, not by not never cold approaching, but grown man approaches, okay? So if you do, and never talk to a woman who's obviously got the fuck off face on. When a woman has that fuck off face on, do not talk to that woman. She has that face on because she's purposely trying to intimidate men from approaching her. But if you go up to with a grown man approach, none of that hey baby, and all, this dumb childish stuff, you won't usually get an embarrassing rejection. And quite frankly, to be honest with y'all guys, despite what y'all think, nobody paying your ass no attention, man. And it's all in your fucking head. Ain't nobody worried about you. Next time you go up and approach a woman, when you get through leaving her, I want you to just look around and see if anybody give a damn about your ass. Nobody paying your ass no goddamn attention. Okay? I ain't gonna say always, all right? Of course, sometimes, all right, if it's a bad girl in the club, everybody looking at her. So obviously we're gonna look to see what jackass gonna get rejected first. But by and large, if you make a grown man approach, everything will work out okay, all right? But if you do enough of them, regardless of what you do, grown man approach, childish approach, little boy approach, you're gonna run across a bitch. Just flat out, a bitch, which her job is to make you look bad. She get a kick out of trying to embarrass dudes who approach her. You cold approach enough women, you're gonna run into one of those. I ran into a couple of those trying to project on the prospect at the gym. Had a couple of dudes who like, one dude saw me coming from halfway across the floor, he saw me coming down something, not interested. So if you do that enough, if you cold approach enough people, you prospect enough people, you're gonna run across an asshole like that. He gonna say it loud. He saw me coming towards him, I'm not interested, little bastard. All right, next, in a fixed location, women will see you trying to talk to other women. So if you at the club and you randomly going around cold approaching, you get one rejection, a lot of women saw it. If you get the numbers, a lot of times, so if you got a number and you go get another number, that number just canceled out that previous number, because now she see you over there still getting numbers. So the women just see you getting numbers. So a lot of times you guys go to the club, you get 4 numbers, and you go home and you call and you wonder what happened. That girl saw you talking to everybody in the goddamn club. All right, so in a fixed location, women will see you being a fucking holler monster, which is very unattractive. It looks desperate. All right, guys, and the last one is successful cold approaching builds more cold approaching. So let's say you go to the mall and you get 10 numbers, 15 numbers, you were hot. The same way a crack addict chased that first high, you will be forever chasing that once you get into that ass chasing cold approach mindset. So once you have a little success at that, what'll end up happening is you think that that's gonna always be the case. So if you're somebody who went to the mall, you got 10 numbers, you racked up, or whatever, you went to the club, you got 10 numbers, now this becomes you, because now you done had a little taste and success. It's like the guy who goes to the casino, have a good night, and what ends up happening? They become a lifelong member of that casino. They chasing that same success they had that one night, and they ain't never gonna fucking come back. All right, guys, so that runs the risk when you cold approach.
Well, yeah, I mean, and that's why you just want to pepper it in, right? You don't want to make it your identity, right? Like, and again, it goes back to what he said. Like, you leave the house and you're like, head on a swivel, drooling, like where are the women at? Right? Like, it's like that's a very clear difference between that guy and then the guy who's just going about his day and then not even thinking about it, but he's at a coffee shop or somewhere, groceries, whatever, right? And he's like, oh, she's actually pretty cute. Like let me go find out. Like, let me see if I can create an opportunity out of this, right? Like, that's a whole different thing than just, rapid fire, like cold approaching. You don't want to be that guy, right? Like booking two hours in a mall, like, shotgun approaching, or even in the club, like you said, right? Like going all over the place and getting a bunch of numbers in there, right? Being more intentional about everything in your life too. And I like that thing. I haven't actually ever known anyone who's done this. I know it exists, but he talked about like like little kid game versus like grown man game. Like, I guess that's a good point. Like, I don't know anybody who's done this, so I never even really thought about that. But like they're like, hey baby, like it's just like, or just being like too, I don't know, too weird about your approach. You know, that's what he's talking about, because there's all these examples of like a genuine approach, like the ones he talked about earlier, like, oh, you're shopping, did you get me something? Or like in the gym, you know, like oh, you're training for the Olympics, aren't you? Or you know, just like little things like that, like oh, like what's on the menu, or like you know, what's your favorite thing on the menu here? Like these little things, like that's so much better. Or even the like, hey, you know, I just want to be honest with you. I was passing by. I'm going to meet a friend, so I can't stay for too long, but you know, you seemed interesting, so I wanted to come up and say hello. What's your name? Boom, and then he asks you your name back. So you can see what I'm saying, right? Like that's a huge difference, instead of like hey baby, let me take you out. Like you're sexy. Ugh. You know, it's like one's like this weird like booger brain like lizard. You know, I guess the child game like he's talking about, and then the other one's like just being a genuine dude, right? Like you're going about your day. You know, yeah, you know, I noticed you over here, and I wanted to come say hi. You seem interesting. Right, boom. Right, so let's keep going. I think the video is almost over anyways.
Couple successes, you end up chasing that success over and over and over again. Okay, and then you ain't gonna never get it like that again. All right, guys. All right, so this is the pros and cons, the cold approach, or the pros and cons to choosing signal, whichever one you want to call it, guys. I'll get back with you guys later.
Awesome, guys. Well, thank you for watching. Like, comment, subscribe, and I'll see you in the next one. You got this, bro.